Hello everybody and welcome to my review of volume number 3 of Kumo Kagyu's light novel series, Goblin Slayer. Now in this volume we have of course returned from the Water City, the crazy dungeon dive, pretty much all volume of number 2 that we just had. And this one, to change things up a little bit, it's time for the Harvest Festival. And Goblin Slayer finds himself asked out on 2 dates, one by Cowgirl, his childhood friend, and one by Guild Girl, his, of course, the person that he has worked alongside of for the past 5 years. But, of course, Goblin Slayer being Goblin Slayer, he feels a little uneasy. People partying and getting drunk and stuff makes for some pretty easy targets. And there haven't been a lot of quests for goblins lately. And so our hero is on high alert, even as he tries to deal with this weird thing called dating. It makes it sound like this one is just sort of like a rom-com type thing, but I have to say that I thought this was handled really, really well. We have 2 girls, obviously, that are competing for Goblin Slayer, Cowgirl and Guild Girl. That's been made very obvious. Priestess, of course, not entirely out of the running, but it's hard to see exactly where her feelings lie. It seems to me that she's more adoration at this point and admiration than it is feelings of love. And also, of course, there is High Elf Archer, who has very odd and mixed feelings about Goblin Slayer. But we have our 2 non-adventurers acting first, which I thought was kind of funny, that the 2 women that are really just leading day-to-day lives were the ones that gained enough gumption to kind of come up. I said gumption, wow, who says that anymore? But anyway, gained enough confidence to just take the plunge and invite Goblin Slayer out. And in a lot of ways, it seems that even though both girls have this sort of romantic ideations about Goblin Slayer, it's for very different reasons. And in a lot of ways, it's almost like they want to take care of him, and again, for different reasons. For Cowgirl, he is her childhood friend. He is this boy that she now sees as being damaged, even though he is incredibly dependable and doesn't lie. And there are I think there's a lot of really good qualities about Goblin Slayer that we see come out in this book because of he's viewed through the eyes of these 2 girls, one who knows him from childhood and has seen his transformation into who he is now, and the other, a guild worker who has seen numerous adventurers and recognizes that there's something somewhat different about this man, Goblin Slayer. So the most part of this book is very, very different than volume number 2. It's much more about just characters interacting, seeing what our characters are doing during their downtime, how they laugh and get together for dinner and meals, what kind of silliness High Elf Archer does when she gets drunk. We have, even though I wouldn't say Goblin Slayer himself shows a lot of character development in this volume, that was one thing that I liked in the previous 2, it's still very interesting and fun to sort of see what he looks like from the perspective of other characters. Now, there's still, of course, lots of action. I mean, it wouldn't be Goblin Slayer without some goblins getting killed. So if you've been into the book because it's got that dark and there's blood and gore and violence, well, rest assured there's still enough in this book to keep you enticed. It's just that this one changes things up, and I think it's probably a good thing because volume 2, like I said, almost the entire book was a dungeon dive. And this one getting out into the open, changing up the atmosphere a bit, showing a city that's alive and joyful with a celebration, showing even the other adventurers how they're starting to lay back and relax because they want to take part in the festivities. It just gives a different viewpoint on all of the characters. And as I said, even our main character, Goblin Slayer, seeing how these 2 women that are so closely tied to him, one through childhood, one through work, seeing how they view him and how he has managed to impress upon him that he is a reliable and decent individual. This is a really good volume for a third volume, and there are definite hints at a larger story, that this kind of ties in a bit more with the previous volumes rather than just being sort of a random sort of event that happens during this festival. So all in all, a really good volume, another strong volume of Goblin Slayer. I really like this series a lot. I find the writing is really, really good. I know a lot of people are put off a little bit by the names of characters, but in a lot of ways it works really well. It's to me, it's almost like there's continued to be written. I've said in the past, I feel like they're written from Goblin Slayer's point of view, which is just that he sees people as their function in his life. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe that's a little bit wrong, because it's clear that, particularly with Cowgirl, that there's something more there than just him seeing her as a farm girl. So I don't think that's quite true anymore. I think at this point, really, these naming scheme that this series uses is more for our benefit, if we're not high fantasy fans, that instead of going, what? Oh, that's a weird name. Who was that guy again? Oh, yeah, right. He was the dwarf shaman. Yeah, we just get away with that and just say, yeah, his name is Dwarf Shaman. Just makes life easier. All in all, though, great series. I find this one a lot of fun. It's got that, it really satisfies that dark sort of fantasy itch. And like I said, I find the writing in this one really decent. Like the imagery that's used, it's just enough that it's not hammering you over the head, but yet, it doesn't seem vague and stuff. You can really sort of see the scene in your head. All in all, again, very good volume. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in volume number 4. So those are my thoughts on volume number 3 of Goblin Slayer. My next review is going to be on volume number 2 of Roka, Braves of the Six Flowers. Now, I read volume 1, really, really enjoyed it. It was a really cool combination of fantasy and locked room mystery type story. The anime only adapted that first volume, so already now reading volume number 2, we're beyond the anime. So if you watch the anime and you're wondering where to jump into the series, it's volume 2 already. So I'm going to be reviewing this one next time. So if you love light novels, you should consider subscribing to the channel. I do 2 to 3 reviews every single week, as well as a countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan every single week. Thank you all for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.